Welcome back to Simply Fujica, a place for budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and tuning into another week here at Simply Fujica. I do want to take the time to remind you that I'm doing my one and only webinar this year on Saturday, October 19th. And I've decided to call it Homecare 101. And the reason why I said that is because I'm including all of the basics that it's taking for you to launch your home care business. So I'm super excited to be providing that, and I really hope that you would sign up. If you're interested in the webinar, the link will be in the video description, so go ahead and check it out. Today I want to discuss a question that I get quite often in my consulting business, which is billing. So I get a lot of questions surrounding billing in my consulting business. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about billing for non-medical home care agencies. So if that's something that you're interested in, then stay tuned. So before we get started with the tips, I did want to kind of let you know how I structured this video. I have put together 5 tips, but some of the feedback that you all have given me is you want some live examples. You want to know how to specifically apply this to your business. So in addition to the tips today, I actually have 2 samples. I actually have 2 examples that I'm going to work out with you. So I'll be sharing my desktop with you, and I'll be talking and putting together that example so that you can follow along and of course apply that to your business. So the first tip that I have for you today is you have to have a clear definition of your services and how you are going to bill. So this shouldn't be any shock to anyone. I know that a lot of us have heard of, a lot of times when we're developing our suite of services, the first thing you do is decide how much you're going to charge. So that is going to be the same when you bill. So when you bill, you can charge someone per hour. You can charge someone a flat rate. I've heard people talk about it like an a la carte of services based on the client's needs and financial abilities. But a term that I'm starting to see a lot more of is a more care plan customized billing. So billing according to your customized care plan. And again, this is becoming more and more common because as we know, as agency owners, our clients aren't always one size fits all. It really does depend on the needs. So even though you have your suite of services, you have what you offer, you may need to offer a little bit more or less depending on the client. So based on that client's needs, you will assign them a custom-based care plan, which will then increase your cost of services. Before we move on to tip 2, I want to discuss the importance of having accurate billing. So not only does the billing produce the actual cash flow that you have running through your agency, but it also will determine what level of satisfaction your client has. So when your client looks at their invoice, are they confused by what they see? Does it make complete sense to them? Have you gone over the invoicing? And I will actually give you a tip here. This is something you may want to talk through when you're actually onboarding your client. When should they expect an invoice? What does your invoice look like? What does your invoice cover? These are things that you, and I'll probably, now that I'm saying that, I'll probably introduce that or have some type of picture up so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I thought this would be a good time for me to hop on over into my PayPal, my personal PayPal, just so I can give you an example of creating an invoice, because again, this is so important to make sure that you and the client are always financially on the same page. Through my coaching conversations, I've heard a couple of instances where there is some confusion on the client side, and so that can result in a delay of payment only because the client does not want to double pay, and in the meanwhile, you're suffering because you've never received the initial payment. So this is just an example. You can utilize PayPal. If you have a business account, a lot of times they have a way for you to send invoices. Another option that people typically like is QuickBooks. So any of those will do. They all have their nuances that people like. So there are plenty of options for you to utilize. I'm showing you PayPal just because I think the experience is so user friendly, and so I figured this would be the easiest way to show you. So if you look on the actual, it will always default to this invoice PDF preview. All of this information is already built in. So this is my personal information. You have your logo, you have your address, your business information, and then that just makes it easier, nice and professional for you to send out. You are going to come in and add your client's name. So I am actually just going to add my own name here. Use my own email. Okay, and this is your customer. Now you have an option to add more recipients, and as you can see, it's asking you for the email, so that way you can go ahead and email them a copy of this invoice. As you can see here, it's asking what are they paying for. So for me, I like to be very specific. So what are they paying for? So in this example, I'm just saying they're paying for services rendered for the week of Sunday, October 6th. Through Saturday, October 12th. Okay, that's what they're paying for. Okay, now the way that they have it here is you can have, and as you can see, as I'm typing this stuff in, the bill to, the items that this person is paying for, that's all transcending down to the actual invoice. That's copying over to it. So what's the description? Okay. Personal care provided to Mrs. Polino. And then you could repeat that for the week of October 6th, 2024 through October 12th, 2024. Okay, so if this person, and I'm just using a roundabout, you know, I'm just using a roundabout calculation here. Let's just say the quantity is 40 because they're paying for 40 hours per week, and then that fee for that 40 is going to be $25 an hour. As you can see, it's already calculating for you. That's not something that you had to go and figure out. You were charging Mrs. Polino $25 an hour. She's getting a quantity of 40, or you're servicing her for 40 hours. And I'm so sorry, I had to I forgot to change this from goods to services. But as you can see now, this bleeds out a little bit better, right? This vets out a little bit better now because it's hours, and then you have the rate. You're gonna add that. Okay, so you're looking for $1,000. If you have any notes to the client that you would like to put, maybe you want to put the caretaker's name, who was the care provided by, things of that nature. But what happens here is everything that we've talked about has already bleeded down to the invoice. And so now you can send it. You're free to send it over to your client. Okay, you can also, so let's say I'm just going to send it to myself because it doesn't matter. But since the invoice is on its way, you can get a QR code. You can copy the link. Now this is something that I utilize because typically when I bill someone, not only has PayPal sent them, the invoice over to the client, but then I'll come in and do a follow-up email to say, hey, you should have received invoice number 13. If not, I have provided a link that will take you directly to the invoice. Okay, so one and done in terms of having a conversation. So I hope this was a great example for you. I'm going to transition us back over to the video. But you want to make sure that you're really specific in terms of what you're invoicing the client for. And so that way that cuts down on the confusion. And that, remember, that confusion is a direct tie to customer satisfaction. So it's really important to have your billing defined, your billing methods defined, and it's really important that you and your client stay on the same page as it relates to billing. A billing conversation wouldn't be complete without discussing the software. So what you really want to do is decide where you're comfortable with billing. Are you more comfortable with software? Are you more comfortable doing it manually? There are lots of people who are very good at just tracking things manually and invoicing manually, utilizing Excel or things of that nature. And then sometimes people prefer software because they already have that software to manage client care notes, to manage payroll, so they might as well throw invoicing into that. I completely understand both reasonings. I've actually done both myself. It really just depends on where you are in your business life cycle, and it really also determines on it depends on your preference. But in terms of if you are still manually doing things, maybe you're not ready for a software quite yet, but you would like some type of billing system, I recommend QuickBooks. QuickBooks is something that a lot of people are utilizing. It's easy for them. Depending on the package that you choose, you can have somebody that will help you create reports and billings that you can utilize for your business. Depending on what business account you have, you can also do billing through your bank accounts. You can utilize invoicing through PayPal, which is probably the example that I'm going to be inserting in this video. So it's really just about choosing what works best for you. Something that I want to stress here is, what should you be looking for when you're determining what billing software you're going to use? The first thing is definitely going to be ease of use. Secondly, is there some type of scheduling and billing integration available? Do you have the ability to customize your service category? So in terms of respite care, maybe this is not something that you do every week, but you're doing it this week. Is this an option that you can choose as opposed to personal care or companion care? So again, just that ability to customize the service categories that works for your agency. So payment processing is another option you want to consider here, whether it's credit card or ACH. And then again, reporting and analytics. Based on your cash flows and based on your expenses, what reports, what data can you pull out so you can see some trends, so you can identify and manage some of the trends you're experiencing in your business. So the third tip that I have for you is key billing components. We talked about this at the top of the video. So where you and I may want to talk about things on an hourly basis, the client may want you to bottom line it for them. Okay, I understand what I'm paying per hour, but what does that mean for me a week or every 2 weeks or every month? They really want the bottom line so that they can understand what their budgeting looks like as a result of paying for the services you're providing. You may have some package rates. So you may have, maybe there's a promotion that you were running through your agency at the time that they signed up. All of these things are other components, other considerations when it comes to billing someone. Just another tip that I have for my agency owners: try your best, if possible, to align your payroll cycles with your billing invoices. The reason why I suggest that is because for me, it's easy to see what's coming in and then matching that up to what's going out, right? So there's no lapse, there's no gap in receiving the funding. As soon as you get it, it is going out, which will make for a seamless payroll process for you. You can thank me later. Another tip that I have for you here is just making sure that your caregivers are on time with their logs. So how many hours did they work? Because you want to make sure that you have accounted for not only the hours that they're working, that they're getting paid, but that you have billed your client accordingly, right? So maybe we were only expecting, the caregiver to stay with this client for 8 hours, but they actually did, stay for 10 hours. Okay, that's wonderful. You have accounted for the 8 hours, but now you're in an overtime situation, right? So who's paying for that? Right? So you just want to make sure that you, the caregiver, and the client are on the same page with regards to hours, okay? And the only way you can be up on it is to make sure that your caregivers are making sure they're documenting appropriately the hours that they're working, and that they're then turning in their logs in a timely manner. Okay, that was my last tip for the video. So I would appreciate you supporting me by liking the video. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so, and then hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time I release a new video. That's all I have for you all today. Stay blessed. I want to talk to you a little bit about Homecare 101. So what I want to make sure everyone aware of, this is not a licensing product. This is really a webinar where we're going to discuss all of the tasks it takes for you to start your business as a home care agency owner. So some of those tasks are, how do I structure my agency? What payroll vendors should I be using? How do I hire my home care aides? What does that onboarding process look like? These are some of the questions that I get as I'm helping you all start your business. So I decided to put that all into one class where we can discuss all of these items. I have created some tools for you to help you along on your home care agency ownership journey, and I'm so excited to share with you. I hope to see you on October 19th.